Good morning and welcome to Morning Brew on Politics Social. I'm Graham Hughes. It is Friday, the 2nd of August, 2024, and you're all very welcome. If you would like to join in the conversation, please subscribe to the channel and you can enter the chat. We've already got Benjamin in there, we've got Lofty the Softy, we've got Gareth T, Rob Reed-Jones, Stephanie Wilson, Rick Parkin, Roger Haslock, amongst others. So today we're going to be talking about the Olympics and about the controversy yesterday at the women's boxing, in which the Algerian boxer Iman Khalif beat an Italian boxer by the name of Angela Carini, and the Italian boxer went off after, I think it was 46 seconds or something, and quit and said that she'd never been hit so hard before in a match. And because Iman looks quite she doesn't look particularly feminine from a Western gaze, maybe a misogynistic gaze, maybe a white Western gaze. Suddenly, all of these transphobes came out the woodwork. I'll say came out the woodwork. They're always around, aren't they? We just can't seem to get rid of them. They just lurk constantly on places like Twitter, where you'll go on every day and you'll see the trending, and there'll always be transphobes every day trending for saying something horrible and transphobic. But here's the thing, right? I might have mentioned this, but I'm quite a well-travelled chap. And one of the things I had to keep an eye out when I was travelling was what the rules were in each country that I went to, so I didn't get thrown in jail, or even worse for me at the time, deported, which would mean I wouldn't be able to finish the journey because it could mean that I was banned from going to countries in the future. I had to keep everything very clean. I had to keep my slate clean as much as I could. Now, when I went to Algeria, like a lot of North African countries, I was well aware of the rules, the very strict rules against LGBT plus people. I.e., if you are gay, if you are openly gay in these countries, you can not only be put in jail, but there's a good chance that you might be, trigger warning, beaten to death by your own family, and the police will turn a blind eye. So, what do you think the chances are of a country like Algeria, which doesn't look on, people on the sexual spectrum as particularly people they want in their society, people who are lesbian or gay, bisexual, trans, they don't really want them as part of their society. Do you think they're going to have one of them representing Algeria at, let me just check, the Olympics, the Olympics? The Olympics. Do you think that's something that might happen? Because I don't. I don't think that someone who is born a boy and is allocated a boy at birth and then grows up as a boy with presumably male genitalia and then declares that they don't feel right in their body and that they feel like they should be the other gender, and then goes through some kind of surgery even to become a trans woman in a country where that would be incredibly illegal to do, and anyone who was involved in that procedure or any of the hormones or any of the things that were given, the procedures that went in before then, would be put in jail if they were found to have done it. And if she had gone to another country to have it done and come back, she would have been put in jail because that kind of thing's illegal. In Algeria, not only is it illegal, like, it can end in people's, like I've said, homophobic, transphobic murder. And yet, this woman is representing this country, Algeria. I mean, it blows my mind. Like, I kind of get annoyed with populists who have all these very simple answers to complex problems. But at the same time, when something is so evidently not true in this case that Emaine is a man pretending to be a woman, which she's not. She is a cis woman. She's not a trans woman, but even if she was a trans woman, I wouldn't particularly have a problem with the fact that she was competing in the Olympics. But the fact is that she's not a trans woman, she's a cis woman. And yet all of the transphobes come out of the woodwork. They didn't come out of the woodwork in 2021, though, did they? In Tokyo, when Emaine also was boxing. So what's changed? What's changed since then? Well, it was the International Boxing Authority or Authorization or whatever, the IBA, which was running. It was run by a guy from Uzbekistan until fairly recently, and also sponsored by Gazprom. You know, the state-owned gas oil company of Russia. Yeah, Russia's involved in this. No surprise there. From, Brexit to Trump to the riot in Southport on Tuesday to whatever the hell this is. There's always some Russian involvement, isn't there? Anyway, the IBA has been basically struck off by the IOC as the people who decide who gets to fight in boxing tournaments in the Olympics because of corruption. No surprise there. And because of, I don't know, misogyny, maybe misogyny and racism. Maybe that's what's driving all this. It's no surprise that Emaine is a woman of color. It's no surprise that Yin Young Ting, who's a Taiwanese boxer, woman of color, Casta Samanya, woman of color, accused of being too masculine. It never happens to men, does it? You never have like, oh no, sorry, they're too feminine to compete in this sport. Strange that, isn't it? But isn't it a bit odd that when we think of women who have been accused, cisgender women who have been accused of trying to pull the wool over our eyes and having some kind of biological advantage? Well, like Chris Phelps. Like, so obviously, what? A biological advantage. That's what the Olympians have. They all have that. It's like complaining about basketball players being very, very tall. Yeah, you can't play basketball. You're not tall enough. Sorry. In professionally in America, I mean, I'm sure you can play basketball in the backyard with your kids, but getting paid for it, you need to be freakishly tall. But that's fine. That's fine. Some people are, and they're very good at what they do. And yeah, hooray, viva la différence. But this idea that like these women don't look traditionally, I guess, white enough for people, traditionally feminine enough for people, is absolutely abhorrent. And it is no surprise whatsoever to see Russia somehow involved in all this, in this ongoing culture war. And the usual suspects crawling out the woodwork, like J.K. Rowling, who has just shat all over her legacy. Like, I was in Edinburgh yesterday, and there's loads of Harry Potter stores there, and there's Harry Potter tours going on. And I just thought about how she has soiled her own legacy to such an extent that I don't want anything to do with Harry Potter anymore. That's how bad it is. I know you're supposed to be able to separate the artist from the art, but I can't, because she's there every day, being horrible. Like, Roald Dahl was an anti-Semite. However, Roald Dahl is dead, and he's not on Twitter every day saying horrifically anti-Semitic things. If he was, I might think differently about going to see Matilda the musical, for instance. Gareth T, thank you very much for the super chat there, mate. That is very kind of you. Morning, Graham. We have a few trans prisoners. One prisoner said he found it offensive. I point out his offence went against his religion. People in glass houses. Indeed. Why would you want to watch a man beat Snowman? Says Christian. Watch a man beat Snowman. I didn't watch a man beat up a snowman. That would be a strange thing to watch, Christian. Are you on drugs, or have you not had your drugs yet? I mean, one of the two has got to be true, because you're not showering yourself in glory with that comment. Blue Badger 88, I thought the biological advantage was the point. Yes. Indeed, it was. Chris, did I say Chris Phelps? Is that the swimmer, or is that a Tory politician? So I'm getting me athletes mixed up with my Tories. Sorry about that. Chris Whitehead says, no, I don't think trans women should compete. Sorry, everything else, but they have too much of an advantage. I think there needs to be categories. I would not have a problem with that, but you have that in boxing anyway, where, if you're a different weight class, you fight against different people of your own weight class. I wouldn't mind that. But the fact remains that these women who we're talking about today, these two boxers, are cisgender women. They're not trans. And yet, the transphobes have leapt on this story like crazy people who are a little bit obsessed and possibly need to, chill out, go for a walk, learn to just live life nicely. Because here's the thing that I've learned about transphobes after having, a few years of dealings with them over social media and in real life. Nearly all of them fail the test of looking traditionally feminine. That's a horrible thing to say. I don't believe that should be a thing that declares whether you're a woman or not. But for these women, it absolutely is. They don't want trans people to exist. They don't want trans people being in sport. And now they don't want non-traditionally feminine-looking women, cisgender women, to compete in sport either. You see the problem there? Yeah? If you take it another step, we start saying, well, we don't care the what you were assigned at birth. We're going to go on what you look like. And here you get the intersectionality between feminism and, racism, where people are, well, I should say misogyny rather than feminism. Misogyny and racism, because women of color are seen to be more masculine in general than white women who are, that's a traditional China doll looking person who's obviously female. And I get the whole vibe in what these transphobes say, the cisgender women transphobes. I often think, I hope the leopards don't eat your face, because you literally want a situation in which, men, because it was a man who's running the IBA who decided that these athletes couldn't compete in the World Championship last year. You're siding with a misogynistic man and deciding that you need to look at someone and say, I'm going to decide whether you're male or female based on looking at you. And in that horrible, disgusting, horrible world that I don't want, and I don't think anyone with any, sense of justice, fairness, equality wants this either, the women who are making the biggest fuss about trans people existing and women not looking feminine enough might not pass the test. Just saying. Hashtag, just saying. They might not pass their own test, and leopards may eat faces, because that's what happens time and time again. Right, I'm going to jump into the chat. I'm going to just get rid of any sort of transphobia that's going on in there. The OCI did a study. Trans women actually have a disadvantage, says Lucy. Yeah, I've read that as well. I don't discount it. Johan says, interesting, the most dangerous NBA players was only 5'9". He had insane vertical jump, though, so he could do angles no one else from the competition expected. Oh, that's quite interesting. I could do it. I don't think so. Rachel says, you need to follow the science. When they try to ban trans women from chess, darts, and snooker, this is not about fairness, it's about exclusion. You're absolutely right, Rachel. Like, is a woman's brain not as smart as a man's brain? Can they not think how many points ahead that they need to? And here's an interesting thing. So shooting in the Olympic Games, right? It was mixed gender for many years until the 1990s, because the women kept beating the men. So they split it off so the men could win medals. Oh, you men have medals. Because they were upset that the women were winning all the medals. So they went, we'll make this fairer by splitting it up into male and female, even though there's no reason to do that for shooting. There's no physicality involved. It's about being good at aiming and pulling a trigger, which doesn't take much strength, it doesn't take much upper core strength. You don't need to be some kind of freakishly athletic person in order to pull a trigger of a gun, as we see when we hear these horrific massacres that go on in America, and the person who did it is some scrawny little shit. Exactly, Graham. TERFs at it again. Well, the thing is, the TERFs are not going after trans people here. They're going after cisgender women, which is exactly what your trans friends have been telling you for years. They'll start with the trans women, and then they'll go after women. Full stop. That's what they do. The same people who want trans people to be excluded from everyday life and from everything else, they also want women to be excluded from having control of their own bodies. Fertility treatment. Contraception. Abortion. Same people. Always the same people. Looks like I can't watch the stream. YouTube is apparently having playback issues with this one stream. Oh, I'm sorry about that, Benjamin. I'm not getting any warnings up on my screen. Sorry. Jez says false accusations are probably given of a death sentence back home. They're probably anti-trans. They are anti-trans. They're fervently anti-trans. So much for protecting women. And this is another thing. If it turns out that J.K. Rowling and her scumbag mates have given Emaine an innocent woman who's done nothing wrong except wanting to represent her country. I mean, it's not like she's going around knocking people's heads off a la Rambo, okay? She's competed in the Olympics before in 2021, and she's medaled before, but she's been beaten before by other women boxers. So the idea that she's got some kind of freakish advantage, that means she's going to win all the gold by literally punching everyone else's heads off, is a nonsense. And it does seem to me that the fash get onto this, don't they? Straight away. Was it the Prime Minister of Italy getting onto this, saying, oh, it's a disgrace, oh, it's a dark day for the Olympics, oh, the Olympics all over now. And we'll have a look at the papers in a moment. We'll go there now. Papers, please. There's a lot about the murder of those girls in Southport, but I just want to scroll down to the Daily Mail here. Watching this gruesome mismatch between a woman and a biological male left me fearing wokery will get someone killed. By a man who's written this, David Jones. Wokery's going to get someone killed. Fuck off, David. Here's something for you, right? First of all, she is a woman. She is a biological woman. And because a gang of Russians decide that she's not woman enough. Don't forget, they didn't say she wasn't a woman. They said she had an elevated level of testosterone or whatever it was that they were using to say that she can't compete. But she's not a biological male. She's not. She's absolutely 100% not a biological male. Although, gender, sex is a spectrum. So, it's hard to say sometimes. But in this case, she's a cisgender woman. And if she wasn't a cisgender woman, literally she would not be representing Algeria, okay? Fearing wokery will get someone killed. Do you know who might actually end up, needing bodyguards for the rest of their life as a result of this? Emaine, the boxer from Algeria. For exactly the reason just said in the chat. Algeria is a very, very conservative country, and they do not like people who are LGBT+, or even accused of being LGBT+. So they start talking about getting someone killed when, if that does happen, they're going to be the ones getting people killed. Absolute scumbags. Right, okay, I'll get into the chat now. See what you've got to say about it. George, thank you very much for the £2 super chat. I wish humans were hermaphrodites. That'd be very fun. Benjamin says, I've read that one. Jez was the person who made the comment about false accusations, probably giving him a death sentence back home. Svak says, we want to win more medals, then try harder. Who would have thought you'd get punched in the head at boxing? I personally, cards on the table, I don't like boxing. It's one of the sports that I don't like, that I don't think that we should have. In the Olympics, it's not quite as bad because they wear head guards, but heavyweight boxing, to me, where the objective is, and I might upset some viewers here by saying this because they might be really into their boxing, the objective is to bash the other person's head with no head guard in so hard that you cause them brain damage, I don't think that should be a sport. I'm sorry, I just don't think that in this day and age. I think it's barbaric. I think that it shouldn't be a thing. That's just my take on the matter. And I know some people really, really love boxing and see it as the purest sport of all and all that kind of stuff. And you're entitled to your opinion on this, and I'm entitled to mine. If it was up to me, I mean, the Olympics, where they've actually got head guards, okay, if we're going to have taekwondo and things like that, where you have to kick someone in the head in order to win, but their head is protected so they don't actually suffer any freaking brain damage, okay, all right, we can meet in the middle there. Heavyweight boxing, Don King, Vegas, two men smashing each other in the head till one collapses unconscious because of literal brain damage. No, I'm not going for that because, I'm not a Roman. Not into that kind of thing. All down to the Colosseum, eh? Rachel says the attack on trans women, trans people is about women. Take trans kids' rights, take trans adults' rights, take same-sex rights, take women's rights. Look at who's attacking us. Follow the money. Rachel, you are absolutely 100% correct. And thanks for sharing that video with me this morning that I watched before I came on. I'll if you could put the link in for that, or maybe put it into our chat if you can't put it into here, and I'll share it with everyone else. Colin says Martina Navratilova won Wimbledon in 78 and 79 as Chris Evert and Yvonne Goolagong walked on court for the 1980 final. Harry Carpenter said the crowd looked forward to a truly feminine occasion. Wow. That's and now Martina Navratilova is a massive transphobe. Now I've got a mental image of a gender bend cosplay of Asterix and Obelix, says Blue Badger. Is there a difference between intersex and cis female? There's I guess there is. I think that when people are born intersex, and a lot of them are, there is a decision made by the by the doctors there in that situation. And yeah, if they decide to say, okay, this person is female, this person is a woman, a girl, and that person is brought up as a girl, that to me is okay. Well, that person feels comfortable in that gender, then they are that gender, as far as I'm concerned. But the genital police who want to check, they want to say, oh, hang on. Oh, hang on, there's a knock on the door. Hello? No, not for me. It's all a bit much. Anyway. Sean says, I remember London Pride, 92, 93 was very different to now. It was risky, it was demonstration. Sometimes you have to be militant. Indeed. Sean, I agree. I wouldn't be who I am today without help from lots of people. So I want to do the same. Just one sec. I've just got to sort of, I've just got to send the message. Right. Okay. Done that. My audio went stereo. Oh, did you plug your headphones in a bit? Boxing should go back to bare knuckle, way less head punches that way, says Johan. I think that'd be even worse. The Olympic boxing is less barbaric. I agree. She should sue the Daily Mail. I think that she absolutely should. If we can have chess at the Olympics, we can have darts. Love darts. Yeah, why not? I mean, you have shooting. It's just aiming and firing stuff, throwing stuff. Stephanie Wilson says it was the ancient Greeks who did horrific boxing. They wrapped their hands with leather bands designed to cut into their opponent's flesh. Even the winner was scarred for life. Yeah, not great. How long did they run the Olympics for? Was it 700 years? Intersex people are cis if they agree with the gender assignment the doctor made, or trans if they don't. There you go. That's from Katrina. So there you go. That's the final word we're going to have on that matter. Does anyone remember times when some sportswomen were so doped the only female thing about them was the earrings, 1670s, 80s? No, not really. Lee says, Martina Navratilova is the only famous person to randomly reply to one of my tweets. Didn't know she was a transphobe. Another nice thing ruined. Don't have heroes. Stephanie, I'm very comfortable in my old age. Got lucky and ended up in a good place, says Stephanie. Number 3, I was a really tough street fighter in my 20s and 30s, possibly world class. Cool. I was very good at street fighting when I was a teenager. Street Fighter 2. But Blue Badger 88, 2 real options: ban gender segregation or in sport, or ban all sports. Well, no, Blue Badger, we could have different classes in the same way that we do with, like I said, with boxing. We have different classes depending on weight, different divisions depending on weight, and also the Paralympics, where they decide, what kind of disability play against what kind of disability. So you don't have someone in a wheelchair playing against someone who's blind, for instance. Depending on the discipline, I think that's something that could be done, and it would mean more people get to participate. I made a joke before about having a dad bod classification so I could take part in the Olympics. That'd be great. But I'm kind of inspired by the guy from Turkey who won the silver for shooting, who just turned up and he didn't have any equipment. He just had his hand in his pocket and just shot. I was like, how old? I think he was 51. So there's hope for me yet. I'm thinking of doing dressage. If I ever go into the Olympics, just let the horse do all the work and I get the gold medal. Silly horse. Women ruins women's sports. Go back to how they were first mountain to the moon. I hope that's facetious. With all this hate going on so many fronts, I'm really getting concerned about my fellow pagans. It wouldn't take much. One angry pagan, I wouldn't worry. I don't think anyone's got pagans on their hit bingo at the moment. I mean, it might happen in the future, but I don't speak to too many people down the pub who are like, oh, and another thing, those bloody pagans. So yeah, I wouldn't worry unduly. But if you are from another country, or your parents are from another country, or you're queer in some way, or you're trans, they're out to get you. Or if you're a woman, it seems, cisgender or whatever, doesn't matter to them. They just hate. They're just full of hate and vitriol and bile. I remember the Paralympics when the blind run was literally dragging his guide round the track. Blind runner. Boxing looks barbaric, but is actually highly skilled, says Patrick. Yes, I don't disagree with the fact that it is highly skilled and way beyond my skill set. However, and I've done filming work for boxers before, done stuff in boxing gyms. However, I have my own personal feeling about it, which is that I don't think that we should have a sport in which you have to cause brain damage to the other person in order to win. And another point about the punch yesterday, when Angela Carini said that it was the hardest punch she'd ever felt. I mean, it wasn't a knockout. I'm quite worried, as there's meant to be a far-right march here in Sunderland this evening. That's from Anthony Fisher. I'm sorry if that happens, mate. I was in Sunderland back in 2018 at an anti-Brexit event, which was being held in a hotel, in a conference room in a hotel, and a bunch of bothered aggro heads turned up and started trying to kick in the doors of the hotel, and the police had to be called. If anything is kicking off, alert the authorities and make sure you stay indoors and keep your loved ones indoors as well. Anyway, Sean says, can I just say, great Politics Social, you sound much better today. Plus, there's a lovely community. Best chats on YouTube. Great. Oh, thank you very much, Sean. That's very kind of you. I am feeling a little bit better. Still got me cough. Still on the Lemsip. I'm still drinking Lemsip. It's not Tory tears, it's Lemsip. Johan says, my favourite sport is strongman, strong women. Uncle Phil has a good video on how Starmer can deal with the hard right. I'll have to check that out. The Badger cult are a welcoming people, says Angry Pagan. Get your camera ready if they do come down. That's a good point. You can hand that over to the authorities to make sure these bastards are prosecuted with the full force of the law. If you get 5 years for organising a non-violent protest, what should you get for inciting a violent protest? I think you should get 10 times that. Yes, I think that scumbag, that absolute bastard, Nigel Farage, should go down for a very, very long time. I think he should go down for 50 years without parole. You and Phil literally falling apart. No, I mean, I think it's all the excitement of the election and everything. Now that's over. So we're sort of, well, I'm talking a lot more about American politics now because that's where the interesting stuff has gone because politics broke up on Tuesday. Sorry, politics broke up. That's it for politics. Politics is over. I've just declared the end of politics. No, Parliament broke up on Tuesday. So there's not as much going on as there was. Colin says many of these German women ended up on very frail because of the drugs they're taking, and whether or not Flojo was on certain substances, I don't think she lived to see 40. Go back to how the Olympics were in ancient Greece, says Siskin Edge, butt naked, and not like butt naked, like as in, but they would be naked. It's double T, so it's like because they used to compete naked, which sounds fun to me, but I do worry these days about the proliferation of homemade erotica on the internet, and but it probably wouldn't end well. Let's put it that way. It's called becoming middle-aged, says Sean. Yeah, maybe. Trump is literally losing his mind about Harris. That's because Rachel Harris is just the best. Oh, Kamala, yes, also her. No, he is losing his mind, and it is very entertaining to watch. He absolutely freaked out like yesterday after the return of several hostages, well, prisoners who have been held by the Russians. There was a prisoner swap. I think the Americans got about 16 people out. Not all of them American. Some of them were from other countries, but they got them out and returned, I think, 7 Russians. So that sounds like a win to me, that they got more of their people out than the Russians got of their people out. Trump was absolutely spitting nails about this, because he was furious, absolutely furious at the fact that because this had been a thing of his. He'd been saying on several occasions that he was going to get these prisoners out. In particular, the writer for the I want to say the Wall Street Journal, who had been imprisoned by the Russians. He was going to get them out. As soon as he wins the election, before he's even made president, he'll have them out. He's the only person who can do it because his Bezzy made Putin will sort it out for him. He's really good at making a deal. You have to be really good at making a deal to get a deal like that. And then President Biden and Kamala Harris put that deal together without Trump. Because Trump is weird. He's weird. He's a weirdo. He's a weird person. He's very weird. Graham, Phil, Max, and Supertan have all been ill. Says Shropshire Chris. It's the Russians. It's the Russians. Jethunt says, does Farage have rumpy pumpy with dogs? I'm just asking questions. Are they hiding his dog fetish from us? I'm just asking questions. I'm sure he puts pedigree chum all over his balls and lets the dog lick it off. It seems like something he would do. Allegedly. People are just asking questions of whether he does actually do that, but I'm pretty sure that he does. Turkey got them out. 4 went back to the USA. Says Stephanie Wilson. Colin says, listen to what Farage says. His words are very clever, usually based around asking questions. It would be very difficult to prove incitement. I'm just asking questions about whether he smears pedigree chum on his balls and gets his dogs to lick it off. I'm just asking questions about it. Do you know if that's true? People are asking questions. People are saying. Andrew Ray, I keep telling you, don't drink the tap water, not even for your tea. My bees won't touch the water after 2 weeks on spring water. I feel amazing. That's from Andrew Ray. I generally just have like boiled water, and if it's not boiled, it's generally beer. No, but Jess Phillips had an amazing point. He's elected to Parliament, so he could have asked in the Commons. Tory Teas, love that mug. You can buy them. I think there's a link under this video, or there should be a link under the video. I don't know. I just spilt a bit. That's terrible. Oh, I've got overtime. Right. I'll be back at 1 o'clock. With my Tory Teas. With my lamb sip. It's still too hot. It's the thing with tea. You put milk in, don't you? So it cools it down a bit, so you can drink it quite quickly. Whereas when it's lemon sip, it's just hot water. So yeah, it stays hot for a long time. Altansky said in the video yesterday about National Front Scholastic terrorism, just asking questions is still terrorism. You're absolutely right. The world is full of narcissists. It's depressing, says Plumduff. I'm not a narcissist. I think I'm a narcissist. I try not to be. But yeah, I know. There's people out there who want to they can't allow themselves to live in a world where they don't control things. And the problem is with narcissists, they want to control other people's lives. That's how a narcissist gets their kicks. And so I would say J.K. Rowling, for what she's been doing the last few years, definitely signs of narcissism. And it doesn't necessarily mean that she's been a narcissist all her life. I think that she needs therapy. I think that she needs help. I think she needs to sit down and talk to someone and talk this through, talk this out. Same with Graham Linehan and a lot of these other vile transphobe. I think someone like Lawrence Fox is just too far gone. There's just too much Bolivian marching powder in his system. People are asking questions whether there is too much beak in his system. I think people can ask those questions about him, considering if you look at a quick picture of him from 10 years ago and a picture of him now, it does look very much like or even 5 years ago and a picture now, it does look very much like a before and after picture of the Pebbles are taking crystal meth. Can you not make this show 60 minutes? No, because I've got to send you over to go and see our friend Carol Vorderman. She's on the LBC this week, so I want to listen to her. 30 minutes is not enough for this show. I stopped drinking milk. I have black tea with no sugar now. Not you, Graham. Oh, thanks, Plunduff. Thanks. Graham, boiling doesn't get the chemicals out, nor does filtering. Well, I'll live and learn. I just got rid of a narcissist control freak who spent 2.5 years evicting me. Bloody hell. Two and a half years that went on for. I'm sorry to hear that, Vendetta. That sounds like a bit of a bloody trauma. Jesus. Blue Badger says, I'll be missing the shows a lot from September as I've been accepted onto teacher training. Yay! Well done, Blue Badger 88. And congratulations on getting onto your teacher training. And I think you'll make a great teacher. Just, personal bias there because you watch the show and obviously you're an awesome person. Svak says there's already a weekly stream with the American co-host on Mondays. Join next time. We do a show called Stateside on Mondays with either Brenna Duncan or Mikey Famine. And Mikey and Brenna might be joining us tonight for the Politics Social at 9 o'clock. So please join us for that. It'll be really fun. And the good news is Wayne reckons his internet's up and running now, or at least Wayne's internet should be up and running. I should double check before I actually announce that. But yes, you'll be able to see and hear Wayne without him sounding like a garbled, messed up Dalek. Yay! So that'll be good. So please join us for that at 9 o'clock. Join us for the agenda at 1 o'clock, in which Phil and I will be talking about the events in Britain over the last week, and particularly emphasis probably on the far right and how they have been massaging this story in order to make it against Muslims, when the kid who did this horrific act on Monday in Southport isn't a Muslim. And yet the usual suspects were out putting out misinformation. Who do you think it was? Who started it? Do you think it might have been Russia? Do you think it might have been Russia? Do you think we're fighting a bit of an existential crisis at the moment for the West? That with the Russian disinformation, whether it's about climate change, flat earthism, transphobia, whatever whatever cultural thing they want to stir up to get us all fighting amongst ourselves so they can get away with murder, literal child kidnap of thousands of children from Ukraine, and murder, and worse things than that. But I'm not going to talk about this early in the morning because I don't want to put you in a bad mood for the rest of the day. Yeah, it's almost like that, isn't it? Anyway, so we'll be talking about all this stuff. And tonight we will be talking about Venezuela and what's going on there and why you possibly shouldn't believe the bullshit that's being put out on the internet about Maduro, who I think is a terrible, terrible leader. And there seems there's a lot of Venezuelans who agree with me on that point. Okay, right, I'm going to get off now. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed your extra 10 minutes. You sure Wayne isn't a garble, messed up Dalek? It may explain a lot. I watched the latest season of The Boys the other day, and I can't help how much Billy Butcher just reminds me of Wayne, like in the way he talks, and it's like, yeah. I said Wayne's legit Essex, whereas Carl Urban's just pretending. Right, good uninterrupted profanity from Wayne. You should be demonetized almost immediately. Well, let's hope that doesn't happen. Anyway, I'll see you at 1 o'clock, and until then, I'll say thank you so much for watching. Give us a like on the way out, and until next time, hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.